Let's move into our third topic. We are talking about the New York Knicks deal with the Denver Nuggets and Dallas Mavericks. In the deal, the New York Knicks sent forward Doug McDermott to Dallas and its 2018 second-round draft pick to Denver, subject to Philly's right to swap that pick with the Los Angeles Clippers' second-round pick. Dallas also sends guard Devin Harris to Denver, and Denver sending a 2018 second-round pick to Dallas. But the biggest thing is that the Knicks have acquired guard Emmanuel Mudiay in that deal. So Emmanuel Mudiay coming into the Knicks after a while in the NBA, well, 3 years now in the NBA. He was drafted not too long ago, back in the 2015 NBA draft, 7th overall. Mudiay now switching teams. It's been an up and down career for Mudiay. Came in very young, very promising. Hasn't really been able to get that stride going for him. But however, this year you look at his numbers, and there's some promising numbers there. I mean, he hasn't been great, but you see something developing there. What do you think the Knicks are getting here in Emmanuel Mudiay? Do you like the move for the Knicks, Dave?
I think that the Knicks are going to get another point guard to take a look at, because I think they were a little over the top with the expectations for Frank walking in and being a starting point guard in the NBA for them this year. I think because he played primarily at the 2, more of a combo guard in France, that they can split him over there and have decent playing time and work on his development while gain someone in Mudiay, who you have a guy who is still 21 who can continue to develop. He had an injury in his career. He has not played a full season yet. I think he's someone who there's potential there. Like, there's a reason he was drafted so high. I'm not ready to write him off as a total bust yet, but I am saying that you got him cheap. Let him get some time. Let him soak some time. It's not like your team has any aspirations for playoffs now that KP is down. So you might as well roll with youth, let them get time, see what you got. You have his rights now, so you can continue to re-up him if you want to going forward.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
With me, because I'm looking at the contracts there. Yeah, I forgot to meet my computer. The thing that it goes to is I look at the point guards. Trey Burke and Jarrett Jack, you guys are gone at the end of the year. You guys are gone. Completely gone at the end. Where Mudiay, you have him next year even before you have to come up. Where with me, does this bring the Knicks anywhere near the finals? Does it bring them anywhere near the playoffs? No, it's not one of those things. This is more of what are we going to do with our team while KP is now out because Porzingis injured and he's not probably going to be back until maybe next All-Star because it takes that full year to heal for a torn ACL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be definitely a difficult situation out in New York, especially with the Unicorn getting injured. Tough to see KP go down. Obviously he's the star out there in New York, and you're trying to build up a second star. I don't think Mudiay is that second star, but however, if you're able to get a fifth rotation guy, then that's awesome. If you're able to get a guy who is able to play that 1, and Frank is going to play the 2, then that'd be really nice. And you look at Frank, he's still big. 6'5", 7 foot wingspan.
The guy can guard 1 through 3, no problem.
Yeah, it's defensively he's been great too.
The confidence in the shot is not there yet, and he's so young, and the shot motion itself is fine. I think it's more so he needs to end up. I'm not saying force him into the usage, but he needs to get shots. He needs to be comfortable taking them, and that's sort of an off-season project. I feel like mentally he's got to get there. I think Mudiay, they can insert him now as a point guard on this team, roll forward, and because of KP being out, he'll get opportunity. This is basically Hardaway Jr., and now it's him as the second scoring option maybe. I'm sure there's other guys, but what they want to see for their future development, I think that's kind of where they should force feed their opportunities at least.
Yeah, one thing with Mudiay, he's this year when he was on the floor, he was used about 24.8% of the time. So he does have somewhat higher usage percentage when he is out on the floor for the Nuggets compared to Frank, where he's only getting around 17.8 when he's out on the floor. So you have a guy in Mudiay who can take on a nice chunk of pressure at least for a team. And again, this team doesn't really have that big of expectations now with Kristaps going down, and now it's really looking ahead with Kanter's contract coming up. You look at all the possibilities with KP being injured. What do you have in Frank? There's a lot to develop. Are you now worried about the future of New York? Because we see that New York early in the season they got off to a hot start and they looked pretty decent.
Yeah, no, it was really promising early on, and I think I didn't expect the Kanter fit with KP to work as well as it did. I didn't expect that to be super successful, but I think honestly there's no harm to their future assuming KP comes back healthy. Assuming he's going to be healthy going forward, they now have 4 potential guys who fit their roster of the future. 5 if you think Kanter is for sure a lock to come back, and that's awesome. I don't think there's any problems with that going forward. I think there's definitely still holes in this roster, but you have two very young guards now that you can take time, develop, and there's no rush. And because of the opportunity, they're going to have an opportunity. Because of the opportunity of KP being out, they'll have more of a chance to prove themselves and put more weight on their shoulders. So you'll see higher usage. You'll see a whole lot more out of them earlier than you'd expect. So I think all around it's still good for them, assuming the injury is not going to be something that continues to hamper him over time.
Well, and I think the one thing that this changes on a Knicks aspect, and we'll see the actual answers of this next week when we do our mock draft, but really it depends on now what are you going to do in the draft, because I look back to our first mock, I had Diallo going there. Both you guys had Brown from Oregon.
Troy.
Now with Mudiay, even if they move Frank to the 2, you're not going to go with, like, I feel like point guard's completely off the table now. Shooting guard you can kind of look at. Now it's more of like, are you going to get a 3? Are you going to get another 4 or 5 down there, whether you go at Robert Williams or like a Wendell Carter or like a Kevin Knox, or if a Miles Bridges is there. So it's this to me is like, let's give a guy a change of scenery. Frank's not working out right now. We expected too much from him from the point guard. Let's move him over, see if these guys can work. And now we can move our direction in the draft, because the worst thing would be, well, we drafted Frank last year. We could use a point guard. Great. Colin Sexton is there. Like, and of course people would say, draft Colin Sexton. But now you don't have to make that move. You don't have to be like, we got to get one of these point guards in the draft.
But the question is, don't you still want to draft best player available at this high up in the draft? Because, where they're at in the standings now, we expect them to fall quite a bit. So, I mean, they could look at, a 7th overall pick, something in that range.
And one
right
thing,
now,
too,
10.
with Mudiay, I mean, it's not like for sure Mudiay is going to do anything. I mean, Mudiay so far through 3 years hasn't been that impressive.
Well, he's improved every single year.
He's improved,
you can say that.
But
his shooting percentage has improved.
Right now, he doesn't look like he's a first-sure starter in this league.
No, he does not.
So, I mean, he's still got ways to go.
Absolutely.
How much can he improve? It's great that he's improving, but, like, when
He's
is finally going to be the
21.
time? Well, like, when is finally going to be the time that we're going to see consistency out of Emmanuel Mudiay? And not only consistency, but he needs to take a step up as well. So it's not like he's anywhere close where it's like, oh, we see these spurts. No, we need to see the spurts, and then with those spurts, we need to see consistency.
I need to see him being a legit number 3 option on a team. I need to see him distribute the ball and be a leader out there. And that's the things you expect out of a point guard in today's NBA. And yeah, I don't know if he'll be able to give you that, but you know what? They've got about 28, 29 games left in the season. You can at least get an idea of what he can bring to you. And if, you don't like it, you can go out and go with Colin Sexton. You go out and get best. I think you go best player available when you're that high in the draft, and KP's health is now in question. I don't see them saying we're not going to go after any one position. I think they just take best player available at that point.
One thing that was thrown out there, at least, is the fact that they had the choice of Elfrid Payton or Emmanuel Mudiay. They end up going with Mudiay. Do you have a preference between the two, Payton or Mudiay? I know Payton has a restricted free agent after this year, but do you feel like at least Mudiay was the right direction if they had the choice between Payton and Mudiay?
I do. I remember hearing some rumors about the asking price for Payton was really high, and then laughing at the fact that they only got a 2 out of it anyway. But I think that you go for the younger prospect. You go for the guy who at least has shown he can shoot the ball from the outside to some competency. And honestly, I think that Elfrid Payton, we know what he is, and I don't expect him to change over his career. I think Mudiay is someone who, due to his limited playing time, that he's a guy who can still develop quite a bit.
I mean, for me, I'm looking at it of, here's what I think went down. The Knicks probably asked, hey, what do you want for Elfrid Payton? Magic came back with their high offer. Knicks said, forget it, we're moving on kind of a thing. And then the Magic towards the end were like, fuck it, we got to get something for him.
Just move him.
And then we got the 2. The thing for Mudiay also to think about that, I don't think he'll have this problem when we get him into a New York jersey for sure. They draft him, them being the Nuggets, 7th overall pick, 2015. So then you have him, and we already know Gary Harris was a part of that roster. They were really into Gary Harris, obviously, why they gave him the contract they did and he's got now. But then it's like, what was that, 2 years later, a year later, they then draft Jamal Murray. And it's like the year after, you could already tell that it's like, hey, you know what? Jamal's going to probably overtake it, and it's going to be Gary Harris and Jamal Murray that are going to be the main point guards of this team, not Emmanuel Mudiay, and he kind of got pushed to the side.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to think that with Mudiay being so young and only being drafted in 2015, seeing that now he's even being pushed out there. But yeah, we haven't seen enough from him just that to really warrant him being around consistently. With the Knicks, it's definitely going to be interesting, especially with how far they will fall in the NBA draft standings. Hey, maybe they don't, because there's a lot of teams that suck in the NBA. You look at the Bulls, you look at the Magic, you look at the Hawks, you look at the Lakers. Maybe the Lakers take a little bit of an uptake with Isaiah Thomas, but I mean, there's a lot of teams fighting for that top 7 spot where you guys throw out that they possibly could fall. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Knicks fall. They do have a lot of promising players out there, but again, they think they need more consistency out there. Obviously, they need KP to be consistently healthy out there. Frank needs to find his role. Again, he's very young, so there's not a lot of pressure on him to do that. And then Mudiay, too, he needs to find those spurts and consistency. But again, Knicks are a young team, and the fact that they were promising to start this year, I think, was very shocking. And we'll see what ends up with the Knicks. With the Denver Nuggets getting rid of Mudiay, do you feel now it's just cleaner for them to step into the Jamal Murray and Gary Harris roles?
Yeah, I think it's exactly. We are moving on. Jamal Murray is our 1 guard. Gary Harris is our 2 guard. And then it allows them to, hey, we even got a Devin Harris who will fit with this team better. And he's an expiring contract, so it's like whatever he's done.
Well, he's also
at the
a
end
leader,
of the
too.
year. Yeah, but if we want to re-sign him, we can. The more important part, too, also to that, is that the Nuggets get, whichever is worse, they do get a second-round pick. So they get an option to get a player, not saying that a second-rounder is going to be automatically, but if you do your scouting, hit a home run, there's the possibility of doing that with the 2018 second-rounder, whichever one's worse, Knicks or Clippers.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just think that Sean was right in that cleaning up that backcourt just from a personnel point is probably the biggest win for them. I think that the injuries have kind of stacked up against Mudiay, and going forward, having Murray as the "we believe in you, you're our face of the future" as far as this position's concerned, and I think that's just a vote of confidence that makes him feel more comfortable. And I think that moving forward as a team, it has a clear picture for their future.
I forgot my Nuggets hat, but right now I think the Nuggets is currently sitting 6th at the Western Conference, and they're supposed to be getting
they went on a heater, didn't they?
What's that? Yeah, and they're supposed to be getting Paul Millsap back too. I believe All-Star break is when they're going to be getting Millsap back. So right now, 6-2 in their last 8. What are your thoughts on the Nuggets? Think they can make some noise out west? Maybe put a little bit of pressure on the Rockets? Possibly
they were a team when the Pelicans...
Like jumping up, real quick. Not jumping up to the 2 seed, but like in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the thing I look at is the only team I could see them possibly catching, depending on how the teams do, is maybe they move up 1 spot and they catch the Thunder because they're only a game and a half back right now of them. But they were the team I was looking at when the Pelicans went down with that Boogie injury. I believe the Nuggets were sitting there.
Go down. Boogie
went down, and the Pelicans are going down because of it.
Yeah, I'm just being an ass.
I looked at the Nuggets. I believe they were at that time the 9th seed, and I was like, look for them to make a run. Like, they were a team, like I said last week when we talked about teams that need to make a move. I said the Nuggets need to make a move. Did I expect them to go this route and bring in a Devin Harris and a pick and then get rid of Emmanuel Mudiay? No, I expect them to go more of like a Rodney Hood route and go that way. But I think it's going to be enough I think this will be a playoff team. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do if they're paired up, let's say, against the Spurs or the T-Wolves. Those are the 2 teams I'm looking at.
They just tried to get Reek as well, I believe. I think they were in discussion for Tyreek Evans.
Well, that was on Memphis, not on them.
Well, no, I'm saying like they were trying to get him as well. What are your thoughts on at least possibly Denver trying to pull an upset on maybe the Rockets, Warriors, T-Wolves, Spurs? Think it's possible?
They're a great team, but going back to the earlier segment, they're just so young right now. I think that they're a team who's going to be like, they're going to kind of remind me of, bad example, but Detroit from a couple of years ago when they had that really great 0-4 showing. And it's just like, you see the potential in the guys, but they're not quite there yet. They don't have all the pieces. They don't have that full bench filled out to really go deep in games. I think that, honestly, they have one of the brighter futures in the NBA from a franchise standpoint. The talent that's on the roster now, which is awesome, but I don't think they're ready to compete against real championship contenders.
And just to clarify for people that might be confused, you mean when they got swept by the Cavs, not like the 0-4 team?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Because you said 0-4,
the 0-4 performance.
And I didn't want people to think you meant 2004.
God, no.
Yeah, because he said 0-4. I didn't want people to think 2004.
The 0-4.
And then finally, Dallas Maverick picks up Doug McDermott. And just so you guys know, Doug McDermott, DM. If you flip that around, that's MD. And if you subtract 2 from that, you'd get MB, which stands for Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba to Dallas Mavericks. So there we go.